This is Pete Moore on Halo Talks NYC. I have an industry legend with me, Joana Meneses, here with me by way of Pilates, by way of Printing House, here from the Azores by way of paddleboard. So welcome to the show, and why don't you give your background, because you've been helping people for a long time get to their physical and mental peaks and try to stay at those levels. So why don't you talk about what you've done, and then we'll talk about what you're going to do and what you're doing.
Thank you.
Awesome.
I started in the movement industry back in 1998, 99-ish. I came to New York City to take Saturday Night Live by storm.
Whoa.
Yeah.
As what? As
comedian.
Nice.
The comedian.
I like it.
Yeah. And 4 years into serving tables at some of the finest restaurants in New York City and some of the finest dives.
Union Square Cafe?
No, Mario Batali's Lupa was one of them.
Oh.
I decided that it probably wasn't good that I wanted to start hitting people over the head with the specials boards. That had been about 13 years in the service industry, so decided maybe it's time to do something else.
Better than memorizing the specials, though,
Correct.
I guess, right?
Although that's how I stayed fresh in my monologues and things. I used to take an order of up to 10 people without writing a single thing down.
If you did it, I would be okay with it, but some other people do, and they're not good at it, and they mess up the entire order. I'm like, fuck, dude, why don't you just write this down?
Yeah, write that shit down, right. So I had always been an athlete from a very young
Obviously.
age. Oh, thank you. How so?
No
How
problem.
so? Is it the pipes?
No, I mean, you're the first person to wear a tank top on the show, but I mean, hey, that's awesome.
It's hot outside.
It's hot outside. It's
It
like
is
45
hot outside.
degrees.
No, it's not. It's close to 60. You have to get outside.
I've been out in a couple of hours. Hey, look, there's no dress code here, so just, you wear well.
Thank you.
And you got guns, okay? So we'll put that in your caricature
Appreciate
also.
that.
So people know that.
Fantastic.
Continue. I'm sorry to divert my attention from myself and you.
No problem. I then took one Pilates class. I was a starving artist, as I said, working in the restaurant business, and I could afford a $25 a year membership at the Carmine Recreation Center, downtown West Village, Manhattan.
Wow.
Loved it. Rusty weights, a couple cardio machines, and jump rope. I did
what else do you need
not,
when it really comes down
not
to
much.
it, right? I mean,
Now I'm all about the body
like
weight.
bells and
Exactly.
whistles.
Exactly. So Pilates was everywhere. People were talking about Pilates. Actresses, models were being interviewed. How do you stay in shape? Pilates. I had never been a group fitness person, and group fitness at the time was spinning and step class. Wasn't much my thing, but I was very curious about this Pilates. So I took one class at this Carmine Recreation Center and fell in love. I don't know exactly why I felt longer, taller, stronger. I do now, rolling around on my spine and rotation and extension. Nobody was doing that back then. Tons of oxygen to the spine and the brain. And I thought, how can I do this? Stay in shape myself, help other people stay in shape, and finally hone my craft in the theater and start doing some work in the theater and not serving tables. Researched it. Stott Pilates in Canada came up. That's where my family had immigrated to years before from the Azores Islands. And I just decided to pack up 4 years of New York and go and immerse myself in the full year comprehensive program.
Wow.
That was all wrapped up in a pretty little anatomical bow. And after I was certified, I got my first job in Bermuda for 3 months and was invited back to Stott to become a master trainer for them. I spoke a couple languages and just started traveling the world, speaking in different languages, teaching people all about Pilates.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's how it all started.
So you came back to New York.
Came back to New York after a few years and needed a gym membership. I was living in the West Village. I was told that the Printing House Fitness and Racket Club was a really cool place to be. I went and I started teaching one mat Pilates class in trade of a membership. And then the group fitness manager asked me if I was Pilates certified on the apparatus, and I said yes, and boom, an 8-year program was born, and it was fantastic. From there, the corporate monster you know who you are, came in.
Starts with an E and ends with an X.
I debated signing on the dotted line, but thought, maybe it's time after it had been at that point 12 years in New York, maybe it's time to move to the ocean. It was in my veins. I wanted to get back to that type of lifestyle after, city slicking in New York City, wasn't doing the theater thing. But my clients were all very, one, supportive, and two, pushy. Nope. Now's not the time. Just go find a space. Get a couple machines. Paint the walls white. Light some incense. Throw some music on.
Thinking 100% on your behalf and not for theirs. No, I'm just kidding.
Correct.
Obviously,
Yes,
they want
of
you
course,
to stay
of
around.
course,
Like,
yeah.
I don't want to lose my Pilates
It's quite
instructor.
the compliment. And, they all bought a huge package. I found this beautiful live workspace, quintessential downtown Manhattan loft, a block from the World Trade Center. That was being built. It was a big hole back then, and this was in 2010. And was there until another corporate monster came in and gutted it, made it a 2-bedroom, and charged 3 times the amount of rent for it. And that happened, I left in July of last year, yeah.
But you went back to the birthplace of...
I went back to the birthplace, to the roots. That's the Azores. So these gorgeous 9 small islands, a little archipelago in the middle of the Atlantic, just off of Portugal. I was born there, and we would return quite often. And one year I returned. Sadly, my father was battling cancer, and I brought one inflatable paddleboard. Inflatable paddleboards were the thing. And about 10 years before, I had gotten on a paddleboard for the first time and got a little bored with the paddling thing. No offense to paddlers. It's quite the
We don't have any listeners
Awesome,
that are paddlers,
fantastic.
so fire away at them.
It's a great form of exercise, no offense, but I wanted to see what it felt like to do a plank on there. And then a teaser, a Pilates teaser. And then could I stand on my head on this moving surface on water? And boom, I went with my dad. I did my own thing that summer, but I couldn't really be on the water for more than 2 minutes without someone, it didn't matter what age, coming up to the board and saying, "What is this?" It was the first time they had seen anything like it. And that's where I had this big epiphany. Tulum's not my place. Costa Rica's not my place. The Azores, where I was born. I want to bring people here. I want to bring people to see what nature really is, what it really smells like when you have to stop for cows in the middle of the road. I want people to taste the wine and eat the bread and break the cheese together and learn about these people that I grew up with and the hospitality. I've traveled quite a bit. I've been very lucky, but the hospitality in the Azores and the way they open their arms to the people that I bring in, you will never feel like a tourist there. So we're going into our 5th year now. It's called BodyRoots Azores. The program's called Liquid Roots, and it's basically a 2-decade blend of every mind-body modality that I've been lucky enough to learn, such as Pilates, yoga, barefoot training, body weight, on top of these paddle boards, which we've created into this floating fitness studio.
Got it. So what is the amount of days that somebody would spend there as part of the Liquid Roots
They spend
tour?
a full week there with us. Yeah, so there is classes on volcanic rock cliffs. You learn all about myofascia release with rawology balls, and then we take all of those anatomical principles onto the water, onto the board. So not only do they leave there feeling like they've learned something about technique and anatomy, but they have a great time. And one of the things that I really encourage on the floating fitness studio is to fall, because only when they fall do they really let go of any type of ego or I can't be the first one to fall. It's so funny. I introduced this. I started doing this last summer. So anybody that comes onto the boards, they get on the board. I ensure that they get into the water first, so they're already wet. And it's a gorgeous sunny day. The weather there is like high 70s, low 80s. It's absolutely beautiful. And here you are, drop dead center of the Atlantic on this gorgeous rock of an island. And suddenly I'm introducing what's going to happen. There's 10 boards, so I'm in the center. And you
they're
can
all
see,
connected to yours?
Yeah, they're all
Okay.
connected by a little bungee, so there's definitely give. There's no rigidity there. And everyone's scared of being the first one to fall into the water. So, we work our asses off. We've got tons of stress in our lives, from relationships to children to jobs, you name it. And then we go to the beach on our day off, and all we want to do is lay in the sun and absorb that vitamin D. And then it gets hot, and all we want to do is dive into that saltwater ocean. But yet, you go to that same beach on that same day off to try something super cool and new. And as soon as you get on the water and you're floating on the board, you don't want to touch the water. No, I can't. So I really encourage people to play. I mean, we rock the board. We learn how to do squats. We learn all about the anatomy of the feet. And I make it so that it's play. I think we have enough jobs. We have so many jobs that we end up never sticking to our routine, whether it's the gym or whether it's a yoga class or studio or Pilates. You end up feeling stressed. I have to go. I'm this much weight. I have to drop these many pounds. Instead of actually finding something that just moves and breathes you in a way that doesn't feel like another job, doesn't feel like a chore. And once somebody finds that, then you actually realize the privilege that it is to be healthy and have no injury or feel no pain. And that's the mission with Liquid Roots, is to really just have you come and experience a one-of-a-kind nature. It's truly Atlantis. There are no words to define it. You have to experience it. On top of a paddleboard, on top of water, connected to this nucleus where we're all just laughing and playing. And at the end, you lay in Shavasana with some aria of, a fado music song. Fado is the Portuguese opera. And, there's laughter and there's tears. It runs the gamut. And I feel really, really lucky that I can share that with people.
That sounds amazing. How many weeks a year are you able to do this, and how do people find out about it?
I'm able to do it all summer long because my brother and I inherited my grandparents' home there. So I have a little home in a small village where my father was born. I stay there, and I bring 2 retreats per year there. So the first retreat this year is actually launching a professional master training. So anyone in the fitness world, Pilates instructor, yoga, massage therapy, physical therapist, anyone with an anatomy background and certification can take part in this 30-hour teacher training. And then the second one is our regular retreat, which is going into its 5th year, and that's what we call the adventure retreat. It's very different than a retreat. I mean, there's no, silence. I call it no judgment yoga. Yoga, a play on words. So yoga, of course, and my name is Joana. And jogar in Portuguese means to play. So it's just this blend of things. And I don't want anyone to feel FOMO, like they're missing out on anything. We incorporate a lot into our program. For the last 4 years, we've learned from our previous participants what they liked, what they didn't like, and we've mastered it at this point. So we want people to take part in as many of the classes as we offer, up to 2 a day. And if they feel like going to watch whales and dolphins, the Azores has 90% of that species just on that island. You can see plenty of those. You can go whale and dolphin watching, or you can go for an extra hike, or you can go ATV riding in the mountains. Whatever it is you feel like doing, you can do on your own. We want it to be a vacation. We want people.
Do people stay in your grandparents' home with you? Is there a hotel next door? Or?
Some of them do, yes.
That's just
Some
a fair
of them.
question,
The
right?
team, we have a couple team members that come from New York, and they stay with me before the retreat and after. Yeah, a lot of friends have. But we need a bigger space to house the 10 people that make up part of the retreat. There's 10 boards, which is why we take 10 people. We find that's a really good number. And we house them in a gorgeous hotel, which is, ocean facing. Everybody has their own balcony facing the ocean. Yeah. So it's very close to the city, which is actually a UNESCO site, protected site. It's called Angra do Heroísmo. So they're walking distance from everything, from the beach to cafes, to pharmacies, to shops. Yeah, they're walking distance. And then we transport them to all the other locations on the island that they get to see and experience.
Gotcha. So as you've gone through helping thousands of people, it sounds like over the years and having the Pilates background, as you look at where we are today in the science related to people getting healthier and, a number of the issues that everyone's facing, such of the ones that you've already mention here, what's your, crystal ball of where we're headed, or, what concerns you the most?
I'll start with my crystal ball. My crystal ball is just move.
Mm-hmm.
Just move. It doesn't have to be about how many sets and how many reps and how much time. It's just to move. There is no magic pill. We're the magic pill.
Right.
And it's not brain science, One should learn how to breathe. So many of us hold our breath. If you learn how to breathe and you actually take some time to learn a little bit of anatomical technique, pay someone who knows their shit.
Like a Wim Hof
to
type
help
of method?
you know that. It could be like a Wim Hof, or it could be a really good Pilates instructor to help you understand the diaphragm and how to breathe. Learn how to breathe and then find some sort of movement modality. And again, that could be dance. And just do that on the regular. No one needs to spend a lot of money on diets. Diets don't work. We know that. Scientifically, they don't work. Sure, you're going to cut your calories and you're going to starve yourself. You're going to lose weight. But then how do you keep that off?
Sure.
How do you do that in a way
How do you eat? What's your mix?
This is another thing. Listen to your body. I used to say that a lot as a young instructor, but that too is a skill. Like you say that to your students, listen to your body. What the hell does that mean?
Right.
That too is an earned skill. You have to actually know how to do that. It's not watching the yoga teacher in front of you bend backwards because they're hypermobile and they've been doing that since they were born.
Sure.
Like,
that's why
we're
they're the
all
instructor.
different. So that goes back to hire a professional to help you understand what that means and listen to your body. And then there's nothing you can't do. There's no class you can't go into. There's no piece of weight you can pick up and know if that's for you or not for you. There's no adjustment or modification you won't learn how to make. And I really believe that modification is a sign of intelligence. It's not hindrance. If you walk into a yoga class and you grab a couple blocks and a strap, I know you know your shit. But if you look at a yoga strap or a block as you are then less than, then I know that that's just a sophomoric attitude. So that's the crystal ball. Move.
I took a block the other day, by the way.
You did?
Yeah, I took my first hot yoga class.
Ah.
And it was fucking hot.
Yeah. It was fucking hot. Yeah. Did you enjoy it? Will you go back?
Actually. I did.
Nice.
I will. I don't think I'll go in the front. I felt like I was a little bit of a spectacle, but I was on my block and I was comfortable.
I'll be honest with you, like anybody who really matters doesn't give a shit what you look like. They're focused on what they're doing.
I was drenched.
Yeah.
So good for everyone.
I'm sure they were too.
They were.
I'm sure they were too. So
that's
just
a crystal ball.
Just
move. I like
just
it.
move. Eat as clean as you can. I believe in the 80-20. 80% of the time, I'm eating things that I like, but that are also good for me. Like whole grains, and I try and stay away from dairy. But that's me, and that's another thing.
I went
you
vegan
have
about
to learn.
8 weeks ago.
You went dairy-free 8 weeks ago?
Yeah, and it felt a lot better.
Excellent.
Because I was listening to my body.
You see, there you go.
Yeah.
Damn, you're the
Saying,
advanced.
stop eating cheese. I'm
You're
like,
the
okay, I'll
advanced.
stop.
Yeah,
but I say it out loud. No, I'm done. But I should. Because
let me
of my
ask you this, though. Will
Sure.
you ever eat cheese again?
I mean, I hope not. But, if someone's cooking up a cheeseburger
Right.
and it's a barbecue on July 4th, I should probably have that.
Does cheese make you happy?
I mean, does it make people sad?
I don't know. I'm asking if it makes you happy when
It
you
has
eat
in
cheese.
the past, but I don't miss it.
But then you OD'd on the cheese probably.
Correct.
And then,
Well,
right?
mac and cheese is kind of
Yeah.
like I had to go to Mac and Cheese Anonymous
I hear
once.
you, man. So that's the 80-20.
I hear you.
So I used to be all or nothing. I did every cleanse, every diet from the
Right.
time I was 15, 16 years old. I was doing them all. And then I would binge. I would restrict myself. I would count calories. I would weigh food. I would do all the things. And then it would go the complete opposite way. I was binging. I was eating everything I could find. And finally, probably in my late 20s, early 30s, I started actually allowing myself to have a little bit of sugar because I am a huge sweet tooth. And when I found that on Wednesdays, I'm going to have my favorite chocolate. with some mint tea in the evening.
Nice.
And then the rest of the days, I was back to eating things that I liked, but I knew that were better for me. And then I didn't OD on them. And then it didn't become this domino effect where I just went down the tubes and, it took me months to get back to where I wanted to be. So everyone's different, Some people will completely restrict themselves for a while and then be fine. Other people will, like me, have the chocolate every once in a while, as long as it's not all the time. And that is what makes up my diet.
So obviously you've got personal experience and you've also got a really strong education in everything related to exercise and nutrition. I feel as I read through news articles and I get emails that come in and say, you should eat these vegetables, and then the next day it's like you should eat these fruits, and the next day I should eat these grains. And it's like, what should I do now? Can I eat what they sent me on Monday with what they sent me on Tuesday with Wednesday? So this influx of information, I think, leads a lot of people to throw up their arms and say, I don't no idea what I'm supposed to eat, what I'm not supposed to eat. I'm just reading way too many articles and I'm confused. So what's your path to simplicity? Or what would you recommend to someone who's just starting their fitness journey or wellness journey?
I did something called the Clean program that when I turned 40 changed my life. Because of all of those cleanses and starving myself and weighing and measuring, I couldn't figure it out. And then at 40, a client of mine said, you should really read this book. The doctor's name, he's a cardiologist. His name is Alexander Unger, Junger. And basically, the Clean program has you eliminate anything that is known to cause inflammation. Big word, right? In today's day and age, inflammation. Inflammation is what causes disease and illness. So by eliminating all of these foods that, as far as we know today, cause inflammation for about anywhere from a week to 3 weeks, you then slowly start incorporating one of the foods that was excluded for that 1 to 3 weeks, and you get to feel what it's like in your body. So it basically saves you thousands of dollars on getting tested for allergies. And what is it that works for you? Ever since I did the Clean program, I tend to eat along those lines. So I'm a really big smoothie. In the morning, I like to have a smoothie. And for me, my morning, I might wake up at 7 and I'm not having my smoothie until between clients at 10 or 11. That's just me. I like my black coffee in the morning, and then I'm having my smoothie a couple days. Yeah, a couple days later. I don't eat for 2 days. A couple hours later. But the Clean program really taught me about what I thought was healthy wasn't so healthy, And you've got to kind of try yourself to figure it out and filter out what you think is just fad or hearsay. For example, when I was in my early 20s, again, many years ago, soy was the thing. Soy protein powder, because I didn't want, whey didn't work for me. I had figured that out. And also, I didn't want anything that was flavored because that was more chemical. So I just wanted something that was, vegetable type of protein powder. So I found soy protein powder. And I was having soy milk in my shake with the soy protein powder and the raw spinach and kale and berries. Suddenly, a few years later, I got a 7-millimeter kidney stone.
Sounds larger than normal.
It was very large.
Got
the
it.
doctor said, wow, that's quite impressive for a girl your size. And I was determined to have it pass myself without going under, quote unquote, the knife. And he said, yeah, that's probably not going to happen. I said, give me 2 weeks. And I just drank a lot of water and I read up on why am I getting a kidney stone? I eat really, really healthy. And there's 2 types of kidney stones. One that's acidic, from a very unhealthy, greasy, fried type of diet, and another that is calcium. So all of these raw greens that I was putting into my shake, all of the concentration from the powders, and this is what I educated myself into thinking this is how I got this kidney stone. And then I just drank tons of water and stopped having the same foods over and over again. Definitely avoided anything soy, and I passed the damn stone.
So that was a soy kidney stone. And that's probably the most natural of all time, right?
I'm just saying that, certain things are healthy and
Yep.
you're gonna
And
like
too
how
healthy.
about coconut water or coconut oil or avocados or there's always this new superfood, but we can OD on these types of things.
Yep.
Tofu, remember tofu? And then
Sure.
it became so popular, everybody's trying to make money on it that it gets processed in a really unhealthy way and boom, somebody gets a kidney stone.
Got it. So going forward, you've got Liquid Roots. You've got your client base here that sounds like they're still egging you on to get sessions with you when you filter back into Manhattan. You've had a big career here in Manhattan and now internationally. Over the next couple of years, what do you view as the paddleboard movement? Is that something that you see keep it where it is and let's just keep it special? Or do you think, well, I've got to go and produce paddle boards and I'm going to go and sell them to other resorts? How do you think about it? Because the people you influence, you have a high impact on, and now you're doing it in the place that you grew up and where your family's from. And I feel like some people come in here and say, well, I'm going to create this huge company. Well, for what? You're in a place where you want to be with special people. So maybe you've already won and there is no other part of the growth of the business plan because it's not, I'm already living the business plan. How do you feel about that?
That wouldn't suck, brother. That wouldn't suck. Not even a little bit. But I feel very, very, very lucky that I was born in this little rock in the middle of nowhere where people now are discovering that this is the ultimate pause. That's the ultimate peace. We have to take ourselves away from the stresses, the everyday, the numb, to really recover, regroup. And this little island in the middle of nowhere that I was born on that I can now share with people is just magical and a gem. So yeah, that's great. But I also, with all the blends and the years of learning from masters like Ido Portal and Marlo Fiskin and just blending all of these things together, these really smart mind, body, anatomical ways to move, that connection, that mindfulness, on top of water, it's a different animal.
Mm-hmm.
Like we are so disconnected. When you get on top of a paddleboard, surrounded by nature and no stress, and all you have to do is just focus on breath, on your contact points to the board. And it's not even about going with the flow. Liquid Roots is all about being the flow, creating your own flow. There's no distraction. It's just you, the participants that are connected in that gorgeous daisy flower formation, and nature and water and breath. And you can't cheat. There's no cheating. We, as teachers, especially yoga and Pilates, we try and get people to go deep, not only spiritually, but physically. So Pilates with the transversus abdominis muscle and the deep connection to core. Don't even get me started on core. But there's no cheating on whether or not you're connected to those intrinsic muscles, because if you're not, you're going to keep falling. And
Sure.
just by teaching people the simple, tiny little basics like contact points, fingers, the feet, the breath, the point fix of the eyes and where, it is a modality that I think does not get the respect that it deserves. And once learned and taught properly, the sky's the limit. Like there is so much progression from there. I think it should be an Olympic sport.
I agree.
I'm just saying.
On location only, though.
Of course, in the Azores.
Yes. All right. So thanks for being on the show.
Thanks
It's
so much
awesome.
for having me.
We're excited about what you're doing, and hopefully we can experience this firsthand.
I think you should come. You should bring these microphones and we should do a big thing in
That would
St.
be
Azores.
That would be amazing. Just make sure
Yeah.
they're waterproof.
Exactly.
Thanks for being on. Awesome.
Thanks for having me.